But we'll talk about Ambrose Slade after we've heard Ambrose Slade, and this is the genesis of the band Slade that we all know. They've been elsewhere beforehand, and we'll get to that shortly. But this is called, brilliantly, Knocking Nails Into My House.
Here comes a man in a van. He's looking very angry at me. They're knocking nails into my house. They're knocking nails into my house. They're knocking nails into my house. Look out!
So Ambrose Slade, Knocking Nails Into My House. Noddy Holder, born the 15th of June 1946 in Walsall. Jim Lee, born 14th of June 1949, the baby of the group, Wolverhampton. Dave Hill, born 4th of April 1946, Wolverhampton. And Don Powell, born the 10th of September 1946 in Bilston.
Wow, okay, so Don Powell and Dave Hill, part of a Midlands group called The Vendors. Unfortunately, didn't sell many records.
I love that. What a terrible name for a band, the Vendors.
Atrocious.
Yeah,
they did a privately pressed 4-track EP. So at the same time, while all that was going on, Noddy Holder was playing guitar and doing a bit of singing, and Steve Brett and the Mavericks, okay, who was signed to Columbia, released a few singles. Nothing happened. A lot of these people, before kind of Psych really hit, everybody was sort of inspired by the blues. That was the stuff coming over from the States. And, these sort of prototype Slade were no different, were they?
Well, that's right. And running alongside those, Don Powell and Dave Hill, they were members of the In-Betweens, who were kind of quite famous now then. But they were on the way to a gig in Germany in 1965, and they met Noddy Holder on a ferry. And both the guys they tried to poach him to go to his band. He wouldn't do it. When he got back over to the Midlands, they asked him again, and they'd already recruited Jim Lee.
Yeah.
And so Noddy thought, right, okay, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, so he did. So next year, 66, they do a version of Otis Redding tune called Security, do their own tunes like Evil Witchman. So you're going to see where they're going with all this stuff. Released on Highland Records. Kim Fowley gets hold of them as well and does some producing. And then by 67, they did a tune called Delighted to See You, which ended up on a compilation called Psychedelia at Abbey Road. So, and then didn't do much for a couple of years. It all seemed to fall flat.
Yeah, and there was a local promoter, and he spotted the group in 1969. And he told one of the guys at Philips Records, and he's called Jack Baverstock, about them. And so he picked them up and put them into the studio for a week and signed them to Fontana. And now I love the fact that he said, you got to change your name, right, okay, and get some London management. Yeah. You've got to do this right. And so they reluctantly changed the name to Baverstock's secretary. She gave them an idea. Yeah. She had named a handbag Ambrose, and her shoes were called Slade.
I love that.
Not even making this up.
I do love that. I love a good creation myth. I hope that's true. So their first album, 1969, called Beginnings, fittingly enough. But, it's a strange mixture. You've got unreleased songs by Jeff Lynne there. Nobody knew who Jeff Lynne was at that point.
Yeah.
And by Frank Zappa, who is still not many people's radar. You've got the Amboy Dukes, just heard it. It's a cover of Journey to the Centre of Your Mind. You've got Lennon McCartney's doing Martha My Dear. You've got a Moody Blues tune, Fly Me High. So it's a kind of mishmash, looking for a kind of identity.
And Jim Lee is quite proud of the fact that they were picking up on people like Frank Zappa when nobody else had really heard of them, and they were doing cover versions, which is a credit to them and shows.
Yeah.
But it was Chaz Chandler who eventually became the manager, and that's how they got to know Jimi Hendrix and become pally with them and all that. And then Noddy Holder told me a great story, because it was Chaz Chandler eventually who made them shave all the hair off and make them go in a different direction, and the rest is history. But Nod told me that, that obviously long flowing locks, Chaz Chandler said, right, you're all going to be skinheads, you're going to look nasty and, be rock and rollers. Yeah. And so Noddy went and had all of his hair shaved off, went home that night. The next morning, his mum, bless her, I met his mum, she opened up the door and saw this skinhead just popping out of on top of a pillow, and she screamed. He hadn't told her that he was going to shave all his hair off, and it terrified her. A great mental image.
Absolutely.
Hello, Noddy.
Yeah,
wonderful
hello, Noddy.
man.
Okay, so let's get on to